Unfortunately, Simon Phoenix was not coded. While you were sleeping, everyone in the city was installed code. It was a brilliant idea by Dr. Cocteau that an organically bioengineered microchip be sewn into the skin. Sensors all over the city can zero in on anyone at any time.
I can't even conceive a visual of what you police officers did before it was developed.
We work for a living. This fascist crap makes me want to puke.
What do you think you're scratching, caveman? You really think we'd let you go without control?
Wow. Wow. Seems pretty far-fetched, doesn't it? You want to know how prophetic 1993's Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes actually was? Well, I'll tell you. Friends, implantable identification chips have been around for a very long time. You've no doubt heard about chips implanted in pets so that a lost animal can be scanned and then safely returned to its owners. Look, today's radio frequency identification chips, RFID is what we call them in this segment, they're about the size of a piece of rice. There are other types that are tiny too, little tiny squares. Their basic function is to retain information, basically to allow themselves to be scanned to retrieve that info. And this is the best part, and to track the being that that implant is in. Now, I know that there's a lot of hardcore Christians out there and a lot of hardcore rapture people out there that are saying, mark of the beast, that's what this is. Whether it is or not, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Obamacare. That's right, House Resolution 3962, better known as Obamacare. Now, go to housedocs.house.gov/rules/health/11-AHCAA.pdf. You'll need Adobe to open this file up. Type in page 1501 of 1990 at the upper left-hand corner of the page. This is going to bring you to Subtitle C, Food and Drug Administration, Part 1, Section 2571, National Medical Device Registry. Now, we're sending you to the website for a very specific reason. So all you liberals out there can't say that we are conspiracy theorists making all this stuff up. Every bit of information that I use is going to come from reliable sources. Two of the sources will be federal government sources. This one in particular, the House website that gives you all the wording of the bill, and the other one will be from the FDA's website. We have an outside website also, but it's actually the manufacturer who makes these implants. So it's their own company website. Again, we're not looking at a blogger's website or something like that. These are official websites of the federal government or the manufacturer of these implants that we're going to be sending you guys to. That's why we sent you here. Now, immediately under that particular section that I just told you to go to, it reads, the Secretary shall establish a National Medical Device Registry to facilitate analysis of post-market safety and outcomes data on each covered device. Now, go down a few lines and you're going to see the first device they're talking about is a Class 3 device. Class 3 devices are breast implants, pacemakers, things like that. Things that basically are already being implanted in a human being to facilitate some kind of function. Again, whether it's a breast implant or a pacemaker. Class 2 devices are the ones that we're more concerned with. The next section says, may include as the Secretary determines appropriate. Now, keep in mind, I don't remember what the numbers are on this. Somebody came out a while back and talked about how many times it refers to the Secretary's discretion as to what she, Kathleen Sebelius, can determine necessary. They leave this open-ended for her to determine this, which we know what that is. That's Barack Obama. Whatever he wants to do, she's going to do, because she's obviously his little puppet. That's many, many times in here. So don't be mistaken when you see that. It's not something to be taken lightly. It's something open-ended that basically allows them to do whatever they want because it's at her discretion. It says, may include, as the Secretary determines appropriate and specifies in regulation, a Class 2 device that is life-supporting or life-sustaining. Now, in order for you to take my word for the fact of what a Class 2 device is, guess where we went? We went to the federal government site, the FDA's website. Go to FDA.gov, FDA.gov. Click on the tab, Medical Devices, at the upper left-hand corner of your page. This is going to bring you to a page that basically describes all types of medical devices out there. Now, if you'll look, it says Guidance for Industry and FDA Staff, Class 2 Special Controls. Below that guidance document, implantable radio frequency transponder system for patient identification and health information. Now, this document was issued on December 10th, 2004. It is still there. This is not an old document that's it's been changed or reworded or anything like that. This is the policy that they're following right now, even though it was set up in 2004. This is a policy that's out there now. This is not an Obama administration deal right here. Obama administration, they're opportunistic and they take advantage of certain situations. They didn't create this particular one. They're just following through on it. So keep in mind of the date we have in here. And I'm saying that for very particular reasons. Obama is going to take the bulk of the credit for Obamacare because he deserves it. He's taking these tools that are laid out there for us, and he's basically driving us even further off into oblivion where nothing is going to be able to be controlled because they will manage everything. But this has been set up by other administrations also. He's just taking the baton and moving on with it. Scroll down the page under number 1, background. This guidance document was developed as a special control guidance to support the classification of the implantable radio frequency transponder system for patient ID and health information into Class 2 special controls. The device is intended to enable access to secure patient identification and corresponding health information in humans. I mean, I can't make this kind of stuff up. It's here in print at FDA.gov. Go out there and check it out. It's right there. So now that we basically have confirmed what a Class 2 device is, let's move on further with the Obamacare bill that's going to take full advantage of this particular device. I want to take you to a website. Go to RFIDcanada.com. Again, that's RFIDcanada.com. First page here. Pretty cool little website here. Kind of interesting. If you look at the left-hand corner, upper left-hand corner, you see a low-frequency passive device. That is one of the devices that they're talking about. That is the one that's about the size of a grain of rice. You look over to the right-hand side, and you will see some of its uses. Animal identification, document tracking and libraries, item identification. Now, it's funny how all of these apply to humans. Animal identification, of course we're animals. That's just a good way to word it. That's one way to not panic anybody when they see this. Of course, it's intended for humans to go into a human also. Yeah, it goes into horses and dogs and things like that to get them brought back home or to identify them. But make no mistake, this has been tested and it's ready for humans. They use these animals to make sure that it was going to be okay to put into human beings. Just think of the things that can be put on here that you won't even know about. Do you think you're going to have a reader at home? Are you going to have a scanner at home? Are you going to know what's in your implant? Item identification. Here we go. That's where that Social Security number is going to come from. We can identify everything about this person. And look, make no mistake, there's probably some helpful things, quote unquote, that they're going to be in here too. Blood type, all kinds of things like that. That would be helpful as well. This isn't intended to help anybody. There's just some helpful things that'll probably pick up along the way. Now, hopefully you left the link open because I'm going to take you back to the House of Representatives site with that HR Bill 3962. I want you to go to page 1505. Type in 1505 at the top. Up at the upper left-hand corner, you're going to notice there's this little box up there. The amount of pages in this particular bill on this PDF version of it is 1990. Type in 1505 right to the box to the left of it. In this paragraph, the term data refers to information respecting a covered device, including claims data, insurance claims data, all of your claim history, and everything will be in here. Patient survey data, and we'll move on down to electronic health records and any other data deemed appropriate by the Secretary. Now, here we go with that open-ended deal again. Any other data that the Secretary, parentheses, Barack Hussein Obama, deems necessary, they can put on here. This is a law. This is a bill that's allowing them to put whatever they want on a chip that's going to be implanted into human beings, okay? The Secretary is going to determine what's allowable to go on here. Move on to page 1506, to permit analysis of linked data. Linked data, think about what we're talking about, linked data. It's all these health records, but there's other things also. How about your bank account? How about your bank account? Why would they have the bank account in there, you're thinking? And they don't have the right to do that. They can't put my bank account information on here, can they? There's no way. This is for health reasons, right? We're going to skip to a different segment real quick because I want you to understand how this fits in here. We're going to go to a totally different section in the same document, but a totally different section. Go to page 77. Type page 77 into that box at the upper left-hand corner of your page. It reads, under D, enable the real-time or near real-time determination of an individual's financial responsibility at the point of service and to the extent possible prior to service, including whether the individual is eligible for a specific service, blah, 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 blah. Do you get what they're saying right here? determination of an individual's financial responsibility at the point of service. Now, it's to enable real time, not to see if this is to see if somebody can pay for this and to take the money out of their bank account. They're not just trying to see if you can pay for it. Enable the real time determination of an individual's financial responsibility at the point of service. They're going to check and see what you owe, and they're going to enable the ability to take that money out of your account, because they're going to have all this account. How else are they going to enable? How else are they going to check and see what your financial responsibility is, and if you can provide it? How else are they going to know that you can fulfill that financial responsibility? How are they going to know that if they don't have some kind of a link to your bank account, to your records? How else are they going to know? They're going to know because all that information is going to be on this particular chip. When they determine what you owe, they will pull it. You'll be sitting in the waiting room or the recovery room, and they're going to be taking that money from your account. How else is Obama going to pay for all this? They know that the numbers that they fudged to try to make this thing sound like that it was going to be paid for, they know those numbers don't apply. This is their way of getting money as fast as they possibly can. No wait for this. They're going to immediately grab this money while they can. They're going to make it a law. Nobody will be able to get out on what their responsibilities that they owe. This way, the people that have the money to pay for it, they're going to be required to pay for it. And not just required, they're going to be expected, because they won't have any control over it. It's going to be pulled straight out of your account. Now, you want more good news? Go to page 735. Type in 735 in that page box and go to 735. Encourage, as appropriate, the development and use of clinical registries and the development of clinical effectiveness research data networks from electronic health records, post-marketing drug and medical device surveillance efforts, and other forms of electronic health data, blah, 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 blah. Medical device surveillance. Medical device surveillance. What do you think of when you think of surveillance? What are they trying to survey? Better yet, who are they trying to survey? Medical device surveillance. They will be able to survey. In other words, this is a radio frequency transponder. It's sending a signal. You're going to be plugged into one of the largest surveillance projects out there in history when you have your little rice-sized implant put in your body. Friends, I want you to think about what we just showed you. Other than RFID Canada's website, which is the manufacturer of the product itself, or it's one of the manufacturers of an RFID chip, the other two websites that I took you to, all that information is still out there right now, right this moment. You go out there now, it's there. Remember, the first website is housedocs.house.gov/rules/11_AHCAA.pdf. That's where you're going to find all the wording and verbiage in the House Bill 3962. Then FDA.gov has the information to back up what a Class 2 device is from this particular House bill. So I'm sending you to not bloggers, I'm sending you to websites where you can back this info up yourself. Now, I'm just assuming what they're going to use all this for, because they're the ones tying all this together. They're the ones putting these pieces together for us. Are we that gullible where we're sitting back here going to look at all these pieces falling into place in front of our eyes and assume that can't be what that is? That was just in a movie back in 1993. There's no way that this is going to happen to me now. That guy's just a conspiracy theorist. Folks, this is real stuff going on. This is one of the ultimate pieces for control. Who's okay with that? And don't ask me, I don't want you guys emailing me, how are they going to do this? They better not come to my house. I understand all that. I get all that. I've been down that same road. And I've been in even more and more trouble the more that I uncovered, because I want to believe that there's no way. Now again, I'm not approaching this from the mark of the beast or a rapture standpoint. That's not what this is about. This is not a religious program. This is about real stuff that they're trying to push through. Now you make it whatever you want, but the federal government passed a law to where the secretary is going to have full control over this health care bill. In that health care bill is a mandate to put an RFID chip into human beings. They have deadlines of when they're supposed to do this. The time for adoption for the bank information is not later than 2 years after the date of the enactment of this section. The Secretary shall adopt standards under this section by interim final rule. So that would put them, if my math is correct, this year, 2012, basically mandating that the banks allow all this to happen. So there's got to be wheels in motion already. Anybody out there who works at a banking institution, if you've seen something kind of unusual that looked like it was going to allow for immediate payment of something down the road, but there's no piece in place now to allow for that, that's probably what this is. Now, for the other piece of it, as far as the chips being implanted, the effective date for that is, let's see, the Secretary of Health and Human Services shall establish and begin implementation of the registry under Section 519, blah, 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 no later than a date that is 36 months after the date of the enactment of this act, without regard to whether or not final regulations to establish and operate the registry have been promulgated by such date. So that gives you and I until next year, 2013. That's 36 months after when they pass this thing. Now, anyone that thinks this is a conspiracy theory, go ahead and re-elect Barack Obama and see if this doesn't take place. Do you remember that NDAA law that they passed at the end of last year in December of 2011, where Barack Obama came out and made that statement that, oh, I can't believe they put all this in. Now, this is wording that he put in there to detain American citizens without just cause. Do you remember that? All that wording was in there? He put that wording in there, then he came back out and wrote a statement after the bill, he signed the bill into law, saying, yeah, it's in here, but I'm never going to use that. You wonder why that's in there? When they show up, and again, I'm not saying this is going to be, I'm not trying to make a movie out of this, but when they show up at your house, let's assume the worst. They show up at your house to say, hey, look, we've been sending you letters to come get your chip and your implant, and you haven't done it yet. It's time for you to come. When you refuse, then what? They have the authority to lock you up. Technically, they've got a reason. They don't need the NDAA to do that. They've got, you're breaking the law. Now, I really do believe that a lot of conservatives out there and libertarians probably believe that this is going to take place. You can go to these websites and confirm that for yourself, and you're going to believe it. But it's the liberals out there that I don't get. It's the liberals that talk about, oh, you're trying to control a woman's body. It's the liberals out there that I don't get, because they're the ones that have the platform of not wanting, oh, we don't want you to control this. And then you allow this man to control what he's doing right now, which is controlling everybody's body, possibly their bank accounts. Do you not see what could happen if this man gets reelected? Do you not see that? Do you not see that this man is going to take full advantage of every possible thing that he can? All this is part of his plan. This is not something small. This is not a little thing. We have got to get anybody else, anybody besides Barack Obama in that White House this November to keep this from happening. And you have got to call your congressmen and women and tell them, do not let this happen. Don't let somebody else get in that White House and do the same thing like this. Because again, we've already seen signs that there's some bipartisan agreement involved here. A lot of this stuff, like the chips and all that are put out there to allow for this, a lot of that stuff was put into place in 2004. These Class 2 devices were designed, and basically the FDA was allowing these back in 2004. This is not, Barack Obama, don't give this man so much credit as you think he thought this up. He's just taking some of the tools that's already been put in place by him. You can call it what you want. Call it New World Order or whatever you want to call it. Big Brother, whatever. There's something bigger going on here, and it's not just a partisan issue. We've got to quit thinking in terms of partisanship. You don't think that for some reason these two sides know that as long as they keep everybody divided with this partisanship, that this kind of stuff can slide through? Because you'll think, there's no way my side is going along with that. Each side thinks their side is innocent of stuff like this. Each side thinks that, I'm talking about the voters, each side thinks that, oh, there's no way my guys would do that. It's them trying to do that. And the other side thinks the exact same thing. But yet both sides are colluding to make these same things happen. Again, I challenge everybody to go to these websites, confirm everything that I've said, all the information that we put out here, it's out there. Folks, I'm just looking out for myself and my family. And after that, it's my fellow brother. We got to look out for each other here. No one is looking out for us. It's imperative that we take this information and run with it. Go to your congressperson. Look them up. You know what? Ask them to explain this. If you think that we're just putting pieces together and arbitrarily throwing things together that don't make any sense, you know what? Take these exact same documents that we have right here. Take them to your congresspeople. Email them. And you tell them, you explain this to me. What do you mean by this? Make them explain themselves. Don't let them dismiss this. Because you have the perfect argument by saying, it's on your website, now you tell me why you allowed it to be there. And if it's not supposed to be there, why is it there? It's part of a law. It's in place. Make them explain that. Make them explain it away. Don't let them dismiss it. Make them explain it away.
I'm gonna come at you like a spider monkey.
Like a spider monkey!
If you'd like to send us a comment or email about ThinkTown USA or any of our topics, go to www.thinktownusa.com and click on the Contact Us link. Or you can email us at thinktownusa@gmail.com.